I'm just gonna not stop looking because when I start inviting people, it stops me from talking and thinking about. Okay, so just get a profile. Right, I'm constantly. Uh, I don't want to start with the pain that I'm in first. I'm gonna start with the. I only remember my mom and my dad fighting with each other. Like, everything was so hard, right? Because a lot of the times he'd have to come over. Like, she'd just not pick up the phone for whatever reason. Like, I have no clue how. It, we'd sleep in, right? He'd probably get up at 6 and then come over to see me and Wyatt and either, yeah, visit for a while, but that ended up escalating things. And so then I'm working on no sleep. Uh, do 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 do. It, yeah, it just kept escalating until we went to go see our dad, and that was a few different places. Just to like imagine, he was staying with a friend at the time. I can't remember, but that was a far trip. Uh, he ended up staying with Aunt Candy a lot, like hanging out in the basement, and we'd end up sleeping on the couches. And oh, so then yeah, he did a lot. Did the cooking, right? The mom stuff, locked up in the house. We rely so much on the convenience store, and I'm doing that now. I I'm feeling like they turned me into my mom by, like, all of them had this idea, like, I'm facing homelessness, very not serious, not deadly, right? Like, I'm brick brick to the head fear. I'll end up in a shelter. I'll survive. I'll make do. I'll shiver in the cold while I'm sick. Like, they they kept trying to help me, and early in life we even talked about this stuff. It was they took me to a test, I think, like around the age of 5 maybe, but that was very short. They wanted to do follow-up tests, but she's like, no, th- that's their whole. Right now the idea is that I've I've I'm a severely depressed alcoholic who explodes, like, verbally, like this, like, just like they did at each other. It's all I learned how to communicate with people. It's avoid and don't talk, or it's explode at them. So I've I clicked basically. Uh, that's part of my jaw pain. I'll list off these injuries now then, just in, I guess, the order of events in time. There was many traumatic experiences. Like, I've always had trouble sleeping. I've considered for a very long time, but just stopped myself from getting, like, earmuffs of some kind or a mask because I'd be afraid of not cleaning them. And Yeah, my hygiene was always messy room, toys on the floor. I really relied on th- these are the things that they wanted for in the test, and why, like, there's been few people like, oh, don't let it define you, but it's literally coming full circle now, right? We're My mom is constantly crying about the rent. She ended up becoming a building manager at at the first place I can remember. So the first place we lived, I guess, right out of the hospital, was at a small old apartment. Uh, I can't remember the address, but when I passed by it on the bus, I remember how often my dad would say, "Oh, that's the first place, right?" And that's where the all the attack happened, right? So I'm mentioning these ways that I'm mentioning the ways that they've fought like this constantly. They avoid each other and then they just explode at each other. And it's the only way that I learned how to really talk or open up at all. And it's part of why, like, my dad is like working a real job. That's my thought on this whole thing right now with the being here in like a with the tradespeople in a dirty house, and like the the reason why I'm so strongly considering going into it. It'll be a lodge, right? No razors at all. So I'm considering a haircut. But if I did, it would. Oh, that's another. I can get into that. I liked growing my hair out long and then just cutting it off all of a sudden. Same with my beard. Really don't like the hair mess, the itch. So yeah, I'll get to the issues are for the early development that they had me tested. The school convinced them to finally let them take a exam, and they ooh yeah, they finally let me take an exam. I can vaguely remember the room, but it was like holding still, doing some problem solving and stuff like that. They ended up saying that I have problems with eye contact. I have oh, constantly touching my face because I'm oily and sweaty as well. Like any physical activity, right? I've done so much different experiments with my diet, and antiperspirant is even like I'd have to put it all over my body. I so yeah, they wanted to look at my eye contact, they wanted to look at my allergies, they wanted to look at my use of hands, like I would freeze picking which one. They wanted to train a dominant hand in me, right? Just uh, for important stuff like writing and whatever, right? uh so yeah, all those kind of unique things, as well as like they didn't talk about the environment of abuse, right? I do not remember what happened, and I've only heard it. Oh, you can see the swinging. I've only heard it from my mother, and just recently recently from my father. Like, I. So, yeah, that was the first place. And then the next place was my basically the forever home. That was like all the way through, right, school with Inglewood, Westmount, and Ross. And these were very harsh environments for people, and oh, they would I'd constantly be told by everyone not to talk about what's going on, and mom would my mom would have these panic attacks, kind of like this. She, just like, right, sitting in the kitchen smoking, and this is a just a huge thing too. She would punish us so much for breaking the rules to teach us the right lesson. Okay, so you're not going to see your friends. You're not going to go for sleepovers because we're afraid of someone abusing you, right? So, and you're grounded to your room until you can clean it, and you're not going to clean it unless we she watches us, right? So we're the messes were piles of toys, right, collecting dust, and it would be she'd keep throwing them out too. She'd watch them, and if we didn't play with them, she'd throw them out because of the pile, I guess, right? So then that would end up leading into, oh, that ends up turning it. It right, we'd spend all the time grounded in our room with all of our Dollarama toys, our hundreds of toys with toy bins. We were toy toy hoarders basically, right? And like we were supposed to learn how to clean our room on our own pretty early on because of the mess. The, the right, this is this behavior of putting something off, putting the mess off, letting the bugs come, the spiders mostly, because we weren't allowed to eat in our rooms. That's kind of like right here, right now. That's kept going on for a while. I had a dream one time that we got to eat in our rooms, and basically basically it was us all sitting on the ground kind of like meditating, practicing. So we'd eat the Reese's puffs. Back to reality. So I've seeing these faces and speaking to people again, and the fear of going outside after all that's kind of happened has all really overwhelmed me, and that's always been the thing with the huge pile. And like, I right, that it became a cycle of her just grabbing this huge pile of toys and just chucking it in the trash, and because we couldn't clean it for so long, right? So we'd and things would, yeah, it was a big pile. And so we're constantly just learning that our toys aren't special, and like, yeah, only like the really special stuff we'd never play with because it'd be thrown out. Like our favorite stuffed animals were safe, And that's a big thing too. We had this big hope chest, toy chest for our all of our stuffies, and constantly she'd be throwing them out when we don't play with them, right? And it's hard because like we could have just had a couple things, and she could have told us no, you can't have it, right? No, we we became such huge hoarders, and the trauma of losing things right now is a deal for me, right? Things break, things whatever. Uh, so I'm just unlocking these patterns that have just continued on for so long. Like, yeah, so she's smoking in a non-smoking apartment. She'd sit underneath the stove, or she'd go smoke weed when it was illegal in the bathroom, right? And so there's constantly contact with different drug dealers and people like that. Oh, right. Tough times with hard friends is what I'm thinking right now. So it ends up turning into I'm so crooked. I keep twisting that way. Oh. So continuing down the line of problems, my health, right? I'd get sick days from school, never really more than one or two. My issue, I would hide in the bathroom a lot, and I'd look in the mirror a lot. I would take long hot baths, as hot as I could. This is like 5 years old, right? Because I have such congestion. You can hear it in me. Right? And I'm constantly touching my face, and part of that's the hair, but I'm constantly itchy. Like I don't want to dive into the hallucinations, but that's where this is coming from with how my reality has just been. I kept being abused and told, oh, you got to learn to grow up and take the pain and learn a lesson. But I, right, drink more water constantly, and I'm constantly drinking water, and then I'm sweating. So I feel like that I've had the issues with these things like the speech, the staring off, failing to make eye contact, zoning out. They wanted to treat me for ADHD, right? They wanted to do more testing. They wanted to get the test yeah, test the medication for allergies, and as well as the yeah, ADHD, allergies, then this yeah, going in a loop. So yeah, speech, eye contact, zoning out, itching, and the right, because it was just a few different kinds of like mild symptoms that they wanted to test. The idea being that if they did give me the chance and they saw improvement, that could be very helpful. I was also born in between the school years, so I got literally bullied as hard as possible. When I started kindergarten, right? And that was then, oh, Then preschool, I can remember preschool a little bit, just like the the napping really threw me off. I was always sleeping on naps, sleeping through the playtime at the end of the day kind of thing. That was the thing. My mom would pick us up, right, because she's afraid, and that that was when she was still working at the Kingsway Cookies by George, so a coffee shop, uh, and she'd just been through a lot of retail before. Oh, well, my dad worked in construction, and so and so happenings had run into law trouble specifically with the what happened with my mom at the first place. So the first place is my first home that I don't remember where something really bad happened. My mom said that we saved her life because I apparently it the story from what I've been told, what is true is that he came home. I don't want to continue to use the I'll say under the with the use of alcohol. I won't be afraid of those scary words. Okay. Oh, you see, I'm. This is part of my pain. The constant use of phone, but it's been. Uh, I've cut alcohol out. I've been deleting my accounts and apps that are not valuable to me. So TikTok is toxic. Like specifically the the people that it targets and how hard they'll target you. They'll hit you with your addiction really hard. And then Instagram is probably the next worst one. I don't think I can get rid of Instagram, but their dress code for a lot of things is very like that's unfair to some people, but as long as you're following the rules for like I'm not trying to show off here. I'm trying to be comfortable. Oh, so they're yeah, I'll say the slip ups Instagram has. How many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of views a video being abused can last so long because of their. Oh, I'll get past that. This is another pose that I do that really hurts when I start massaging the ear, but this one is also pulling me. I just need to lay straight, and if I held my phone with two hands, that would be a little bit easier, but then more numb. Oh, continuing on. I I tried to maintain eye contact, but again, that's a mirror thing. I've spent most of my time looking at myself in the mirror, and I've so yeah. I'll say we're at the new place. It seemed not the got to count again. So the first home ever, and then the second was the forever home where my mom managed, where everyone knew me growing up, and we had friends close by, and it was a sketchy neighborhood with all it was by 118 Ave and 124th Street. I can remember the address. The a few management companies took it over and tried to spruce it up. So it was a slum, and I went back there since I'm close by there now to look, and it has they've torn the carpet out. They've it doesn't look safe in there. So, but to talk about that, that's where all of the stuff kind of developed. Constantly throwing out toys, right? And literally, she said it herself. Oh, if I sat there and watched you, then you could do it, right? And like thinking about that, it's literally, oh, I'm gonna just keep dumping cash into toys I know that you won't put away when I could just not buy the toys. And I'm smoking inside. And she was dehydrated. She was always in the tub too because of her physical pain. She'd, she wouldn't get help. She'd just smoke cigarettes and the weed in the bathroom and right like all of those things, those habits that freeze you. And well, I've heard cigarettes are they're good for productivity for some people, right? And the withdrawal is crazy. And like I think about that craving idea is that I our mom so I'm counting up then. So I was bullied so hard in school. They called me an old man because like I had the V, right, and the bushy eyebrows, and I developed the beard really early. The peach mustache came, so they kept calling me a retarded pedophile because they put me in early, right, 4.5. So I would have been in the same grade as a few people I wish I could remember. But like literally, it was the first day of school. They go for it was music, right? I'm having trouble sitting still in my desk. I'm like tapping or trying to get up and constantly drinking water, and the sweating has always been an issue in sports. Like it's I so that's basically what I can remember. It was yeah 4.5, and the they the few of them were like, oh, it was my mom that pulled me out because she thought I couldn't do it. And then I go back the next year and they keep calling me a retard. And that's right. And I've had these issues, and I've developed these coping mechanisms, right? Like I'll do the or something, right? And that just made me look weirder. That I can't talk. Yeah, can't talk fast, wandering off into tangents or other kind of thoughts. And I've had, I'll just admit this too, I've had dark thoughts since I was very young. Like, I've heard too many screams outside the window. That's another very early memory of like I constantly, constantly can't sleep and stay up late listening out the window. And one night I even saw something happen, a guy and a girl like arguing. Like that's been a huge problem for me in these conversations where there are these aggressive people not getting closer, right? And it's never like a hit always, but like I remember that night he definitely grabbed her, and she ended up on the ground, and like f- felt bad. I immediately ran to my mom and to ask what to do, because I think she was manager at that time, and that was called the police. And the police came. They were constantly at this apartment, the the main apartment, yet, and we would hear about it. So yeah, she'd spend all of her time sitting in a chair or by the stove with her, I'll say, turned right. Ugh. So, and she would even say over and over that doing the exercises would help you manage the pain and maybe even give her relief. She had has scoliosis and arthritis. I think she did cheer, I can't remember. But the point is that, right, she was living with that pain for her entire life. This is why I'm like connecting with how this how it's similar. I got to focus on going through the places. So that was the forever place. There was so much that happened there, and my dad and mom constantly at each other. Eventually, he wasn't allowed in. Like we'd have the heat on really hot because we'd end up running around in like just our shorts, no socks, boxers, right? We were free to right, and that's another bad pattern uh, I developed, right? Just that part of that too was her pain or whatever. Like I'm a one of those people that don't really wear pajamas, right? Because it would bother me, the clothing on me, right? And then oh, the itching's back. Uh, yeah, so right, all these serious issues that were just left alone because she didn't have time to go to the hospital. She'd constantly tell us that, like, we're so lucky for our native status, and definitely are, but there I'm not quite sure about all of this in the past, but her fear was that they'd take us away if she got on Aish. But she's literally a short person, I'm pretty sure, like 5, right close to there. And right, underweight, and been attacked before, and right, clicking all these boxes. I I know that the way that they do medicine has changed, but literally just not wanting to wait in the ER room, right? Because you'll have back pain and be cold. But then if you don't fix, she didn't want the spine thing because she didn't think she was gonna get any taller. And like, yeah, if you say that, oh, I'm trying to move past all these things with my mom because I'm trying to focus on what she's done to me and my brother, locking us up, not letting us make friends. I've uh she lost her job when her manager got tired of her because like she was there for a while and knew what was going on and would constantly make suggestions to the manager. That's something I never do. I would I wouldn't say, "Oh, we should start selling blah 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 blah." I've done it myself. Like I brought to the table what I could do with the resources I had. I didn't go to the manager and say, "You should be selling muffins at the cookies shop," and stuff like that. Oh, and coffee. Like there's better ways to go about that, and part of why I like never talked to my coworkers, and then I'm just exploding at them and have lost connection with so many. Ah, the. So that was the forever place, and there was more that went on. Like there was I don't want to mention the darker things, but there was serious incidents of unsupervised play just around the building that were not okay, right? Like we we should have been in some kind of care, like supervision. Oh, and they're right. So she's smoking inside because she's too hurt to get better and could be sitting outside smoking with the rules. Uh, uh, the fear just holds them back. So then it's moving on to. I'm trying to get past that. Some serious things I don't want to mention or bring up, but it's mostly just been uh, especially not talking to girls. Like I early on they didn't like my mustache and they thought I was staring at them, right? Because I'd be like looking at like a tree, and if there was a girl like in front of that tree or behind that tree, I wouldn't notice her. And then they're like, "Why are you staring?" Ugh. That's another thing I've like the idea of like also like let's say someone there this has happened so many times. I've never talked to them other than like maybe a hi or a smile, and then they get freaked out as like why is he either staring at me or like I would look at people, right? Like if they were my crush, I wouldn't try and stare. I'd time myself basically. It's like okay, this has been long enough. I could then do something else. Like I'll go drink water, or I'll try sitting with her at lunch, and that would take so long and always backfire because again I'm just frozen and can't say anything. Uh, I gotta move farther through the school just to the main incidents. I had another classmate. They also have issues. But that was like around third grade. There was I was just dancing, and it really bothered me that they like she'd been between schools, pretty sure, multiple times I think, but they ended up they threw a few people knew who I'm talking about, but it bothered me that it was a science kind of setup, right? Like a big wooden board with everything on it, and they would we were told not to touch it, not to play with it. There was this ferromagnetic sand, whatever, and the idea is that the teachers and the principals told me it was an accident. Like she could have had some situation, whatever. But I explained it to them that, oh, you this is the I still see it in my head because I recite it over to myself and won't let it go because she did a 180, right? This was like downtime during class. There was music playing. People could do their free activities. That was my favorite part. I was dancing. I remember it. I did like a move like this. It might have been a move like this, but it wasn't at her. Did the whole face thing. But the, they were standing close to me. They took the bin, opened it up, put it in their hand, raised it to eye level, and went ploof. And I started screaming and swearing at her until she was crying on the floor in the corner away from me. And there and all of the girls like got in between them and really made a wall between me. And they're like, "What the they were worried I was going to hurt her, and I didn't move. I'm screaming in pain and I can't move, and I'm swearing at her and I'm pointing at her, and I couldn't move my feet. But there, it bothered me so much that I walked it through to them. I didn't do anything to her. I didn't say anything to her. I've and my stupid weed habits and my lack of job ended up and close placement in the neighborhood a long time later ended up talking to her more, trying to get over it, but I right the teachers and the principal and all the girls thought something happened, right? She started opening up about all of her something going on, but she hurt me for whatever reason. So then I guess the next big trauma I can go into, the next step would be making it through the school with my like increased fear of things getting in my eyes or crunching my teeth. I didn't like crunchy food, maybe Doritos, but not anymore. Holy fuck. And oh, one time I got my head, that was younger than that was a lot longer ago. I got my head stuck in the sand under the sand car because I was digging under there and crawling. I think my mom pulled me out, but I hated getting things near my ears. I'm constantly the the sinuses is what I'm being told to believe, and my jaw injury that's further along. So yeah, just getting through the Inglewood. I wasn't amazing at sports, and I hesitate, and I wouldn't like to get close to anyone. Right? I didn't want my shins hurt, and I didn't want my to hurt anyone else. So like in soccer, I wouldn't get too close to the goal, and I wouldn't often fight in those confrontations. The soccer was so important. Inglewood, and I remember just screaming and not getting picked, crying over by the bike racks. That's something I ended up really getting into balancing. I I would start walking across the bike racks, and then the climbing was always a huge thing. I would climb the trees, all of the trees at the park. They had to cut those swinging vine trees down totally because kids would keep getting up to them. And so, but yeah, I swung on it. Feel bad because all those branches are gone now. But so then, yeah, it looked like they were becoming more concerned for me because of I was literally practicing walking in a straight line, balancing, standing upright, doing like gym kind of stuff, higher risk. What wasn't afraid of heights too bad. Oh, there were once ideas that maybe I could end up going to Prince Charles School because they had a, more resources, I think was the idea, and it was a native school. So I could have learned to be native more. That was it was farther away though, so it never really panned out, and just being stuck in one place is the kind of mentality. So then next is if I can stare at my eyes properly, but then when you're doing that, it's a release. So yeah, I'll just move through Inglewood. There was just lack of attention. Oh, the the breathing deeply hurts the most. So my next issue was Westmount and struggling there with our like yeah, that I've been a drooler like for a while, early as I can remember. Same with the seeing. Oh, I describe them like eye floaties, right? But, sticking to reality. This is the situation. Focusing on my uh, this being around these tradesmen in a dirty house and constantly being told to get get a real job. Uh, not that anyone's done it here. Like I've completely freaked out. I've been afraid of wandering into other people's rooms, and it happened on accident recently during my withdrawals. Oh gosh. It's so we're gonna go to Westmount now because there's not much to uncover. I shouldn't focus on the school so much. So then Westmount was a lot worse in the head for a lot of people, and that messed with me too because didn't get I didn't feel safe to get the help because my mom wouldn't let me get it right because why would we tell her something if we're just gonna get grounded and punished? We were never rewarded for coming out about things to her. Like there would be right the messes left behind. Me and my brother would argue over. Next would moving forward in time. I need to catch up to the now basically. So Westmount was just awful for the mental health, and I started cheerleading in there. Like people were mean to each other. I never got in fights. Oh, I could. There's just too many to list off, but the definitely the staring, and then the escalation of all the racial hate and sexual hate and body images, right? That's just how junior high went. No injury. I need to focus on the injuries. But yeah, just the continued refusal to get help and lack of time. Oh, it like I remember one day we were being told like at the end of the year. Oh my gosh, it's coming back. Super I got super obsessed with crushes at Westmount. I always tried to be like a gentleman, but that backfired so much with the weirdness. I don't think Simp was around yet. I could remember the I always tried to respect their spaces though. Like I'd try to walk past them. Like there was big stairs. So then I'm not walking behind them on the stairs. Same with going down. And then there were shared kind of bathrooms there. I'd always like finish up really quickly. Oh, stay away from internet. I'll say, yeah, there. I saw terrible things because my friends did too. Like there were you know the kind of I'll just say like live leak or whatever accidents or scary things or just don't watch them. And if you do, you should tell someone right away. Like I just wish there was more supervision on the computer. I My brother introduced me to the computer games and stuff. So I'm wondering how. Well, he had friends too, but again, it's the kind of quiet people with a lot of things going on, not sharing. And so then they've. Oh, try to be calm and not swear. It's just been definitely 4 5 days with to today's my third. The Poundmaker Lodge, I have to be without the use of substance for 3 days, right? And I've completely struggled to drink any water. I just took a chug earlier. But oh, that's another thing. The darting is another staring thing. I'll think I'll see something behind me, and whoosh, and that was always an issue early on and made me look weird. Uh, I ended up so we'll graduate Westmount. We're still at the first home. So then Raw Shep got even worse for all of the, I want to say, dank and ghetto kind of stuff. Oh, people hated each other more and more, and they, I've started talking to myself a lot. It's always been a thing. Like you've heard my kind of chantings and the da-da-das, and like I've I've tried to say stuff like I think I can, I think I can, but then it oh I've I respond very poorly to the rejection and the feeling of loneliness and the like just being isolated for so long and unpopular. Like I've had a few girlfriends for like it would last like a week, and then I'd like admit that I'm sorry, I'm just not into you. I liked someone else. I tried, and I it would let go, right? Because I'm trying to not go near anyone. Um, oh, the itch. That might be a good. Crap, that was a bad scratch. Let's see, just spreads. Uh, Seizures is another thing. The hydration, the constant sweating. I've shaken in pain in my life so much. Like, and the fear too, the fear of bugs, that there were multiple red ants, there were black ants, uh, a few times for each. I can't quite remember. But even before then, like early as like four, I've had the fear of crawling on me. And like the hair is a part of that. Like sometimes it'll just foof, right? The little air changes in the wind. But that's just more of the sensitivity that they wanted to test me for, and how I'm trying to find the confidence in myself again to stay out of the lodge, because I've signed, uh been stuck trying to sign it because I'm just counting so much. It's like, oh, okay, so because it is, I'm not lying, it is my, it'll be my third day to, oh my gosh, just trying to remember. I saw someone very amazing, special to me. They're a friend I've had since Westmount. Just seeing their face again, uh, brings back memories. And it's just that all of the alcohol has cut me off from the the good memories. Oh, crooked again. Oh, click. Oh, the and then the itching with this. I couldn't afford the tissue that would take this. Well, I could before, but like just the constant. Because if I just kept blowing it and blowing it, it would just keep going, right? And like I've had red eyes time to time in like Inglewood. Just random things would set me off. And Westmount, there was another reason for that. It's legal now, and it was smoking and bad for your young mind. Gotta stop. And then there was always the fear of, I think I mentioned the wasting water, spending all the time in the tub, trying to like flush these whatever out of me. And eventually, I won't name the or gesture the, but if I, it's what the internet has been for so many people for so long. Oh God. It's I've avoided things like we went to the I, it was probably just overeating and drinking a lot of water. This was probably in what, Inglewood. We used to get mini pizzas, and then I threw up, and then I never had mini pizzas again. Like not for years, and then I didn't enjoy it again. So I have these fake allergies that I give myself. Like I overate again. Fish. I used to love fish, and I'd have sushi every day, the mall, pretty much, and it made me feel great and spiritual too. And oh, then I tried cooking. Moving on, it's something to. I don't like holding knives. I couldn't be a butcher, and a cook is something I don't want to hurt people or cut things apart. That's been a control thing. People were awful to each other about the. I won't mention it, but I'll just say like it is a tool used for cooking, and I've never once ever attempted it. I've been so close to the edge though, not recently. I mean like literally it would be an amazing feeling of control when I'd hold it there and I'd know that I'd never do it. But obviously though I've just been so depressed cooking that I've knives are evil to, to me. Oh, so yeah, the there are these things that like people if you can't wake up you'll stop. Or another one is pounding your chest. That's probably hurt so many parts. It's around there, and my hands is another thing. I do things with my hands, talk with my hands, kinda, and the one really good one that I've always had though is the I won't show it now, but I can. Oh, it's holding the phone that gets to me. Oh, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of. I know why. Yeah, there was a lot of things going on with my brother. Weird things that we like never talked about, and the biggest thing is the competition for mom, right? And I don't mean like, well, maybe a little bit of attention, like, oh, come check out this game. Oh, but mostly taking the blame, right? It's my turn to do the dishes. No, it's your turn to do, and we switch between washing and drying, and we we had so many dishes, and my mom was such a hoarder. Oh my gosh. The closets were literally completely stuffed. And then she ended up getting these the bags that compact your blankets and stuff. And I keep it going, keep it going. Like just the that's been my biggest thing. I have kept I've kept tons of toys, right? And tons of sentimental clothing, right? Like I still have my Inglewood, my Westmount, and my some some Shep, but I've cut down on it so much, right? Not wanting to associate that low. Well, the Inglewood obviously doesn't fit, but okay, I'm still going through school. I've made it to Ross Shep, and yeah, the all of those social issues with myself and everyone just kept not getting help. Like we got that. It's the pressure in the ear and the jaw that gets it the most. Like this one has the worst pressure, so it goes to drain, but then it's going to be the next one, and that I can just feel a chugging. But yeah, I did amazing things, and a lot of other people did too. Like I'm I did cheerleading in Westmount. We were at the West Edmonton Mall competition, and we lost. It was close, but we lost for a technicality. It was like a stunt was supposed to be a different stunt, and we still hit ours, but it was written wrong in the rules or whatever. I got hit so much in cheer. Westmount, I joined because I didn't want someone to be alone. This is someone who I don't want to point fingers because, right, everything hurtful was said, and just the lack of communication. This was like a carpool thing, too. Like, me and him were literally a minute away, and I'd ride my bike through, yeah, I'd ride my bike even in the winter times, and like they could have offered. There was a there was a girl with a car, but like no, the communication was just not there for so many people on so many of the sides. It got if I talk like this, it's just blah 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 blah. It went so much cheer drama went on. Like there was someone who I'm afraid to talk to now because we had like a good experience at a party one time. I got I got to help her mentally. I this was a high school party. It was a cheer thing. And yeah, it was just she was in an argument or something, and I got talked to her and got her to calm down because I told them how many people are there that right, if they don't like you or want to talk to you, you can try talking to someone else. The cheer made my social skills a lot stronger, and the sadness and the fear a lot worse in so many ways. It was another sports thing, right? Like I didn't get picked for soccer, right? There's only so many spots on the team, and the fear of hurting people and running into them or whatever. Running has been a big part of my personality, like physically. Like I just there'd be races and tag, and that was great. The swimming, I started swimming again. That was no, not now, obviously, but that was around the time of Roshep. Yeah, I remember a few dudes. I know their names. I just don't want to. That's part of it. The time spent when I know your name, or if I don't, like that's a pretty big one because there's. I'll just mention the so many liquor store employees. I I breeze through there like, but it's so warm for that feeling. That was something that recently really helped me. Oh, oh, the it's the hair in the throat, the itch. It's an infection. I think it's from some incredibly bad behavior. I I'm thinking about STI clinic s- soon as things open up again. Cause yeah, I am completely. It's disgusting down there. The the boys and the thing. Oh, but yeah, I won't gross you with that. But it's around, right, the the boys and crawling all up the. It's basically everywhere on it, but I think it might be zits, like really bad zits. But I've done so many risky behaviors, like the I could count them if I thought about them, but that would not be a pleasant experience. But there was one. This was in Roshep. I was 17. At that time, I was just running around to find places to smoke the marijuana smoke, and yeah, drink alcohol. But think a lot of it has just been screwed up addresses. Like I thought I got the wrong address, and it was literally just halfway to Westmount from the old place, and that was oh, keeping moving forward. That happened. It was scary. It reminded me of my dad's place, like down to the couch in every and bike placements and the so I left because he was a lot older. I was just smoking weed and drinking his drink, and I got to take some home. This was the but yeah, then it started to actually get real after. So I didn't go to uh, I didn't get to go to the graduation. I slept through a thing. Like literally, so many of these issues could have been fixed if my mom was awake and helped me. There was she never really ever used the computer. That's why there's no safety blocker at all. And then as well, it was the oh, that ended up she never checked the schoolwork on the computer. Every single computer thing to her was fuck. It doesn't. Oh no, was yeah. It doesn't work. This is what really plays into the huge part of my anger towards her and how much I helped her and did things for her, and that she's always just angry at me for not going outside. And then when I am, misbehaving. Like this is a real thing that happened to both me and my brother, and obviously never my little sister. That she would joke about us. Oh, you're pretty enough. You could go stand on the street corner. Right? There were a lot of these kind of comments often. She had a really bad sense of humor that was basically just bullying. like the this cycle of get a haircut and get a real job, and then the once I do have short hair, it's noticeable, and I look so much older. Right, that had been my thing when I was shaving. I'd keep the stubble, I guess, but I had a good access to a good razor, and I'd just buzz it off. I was felt safe enough to do that then. I've Yeah, so there were all these opportunities to get help. Like the first time I tried a beer, and old joint was with a couple of really good friends. Like we avoid each other so much. We don't talk about it at all, but we were so mean to each other too. A lot of the guys really ganged up on me because like I'm sensitive. I don't fight back. I've really spoken about that pacifism. I've tried so hard to, to not threaten people, and I just keep scaring them, right? Uh, but yeah, I'll just say early on in my life, the the online activity for towards right the bad material, especially those that were more more into that kind of thing, right? Like you hypnosis is a huge one of it, and like memes are such a big one, but when you combine them with just don't ever I've said that to so many people after I did have a meaningful relationship and actual physical intercourse like adults and healthy people do. Uh, it's went so hard from there because then like I'm already in the bathroom anyway, and I'll just uh, I there was cross dressing is the thing I think about. I've had thoughts about being a girl in my mind. I know I'm any in uh I've I've tried very hard to build up my body in a comfortable way for me. Like I've tried cutting down on food, but when the emotional toll gets there, then that's when I'll I'll binge more. Like I'll just like I should chug that water right now, even though there's the risk I'll end up do it'll end up going out the wrong way. But at the same time, it's been so long without water. I have not gonna keep talking about that, but it's like constantly in pain, and it hurts. It's burns when I put hand sanitizer. Like, I try and avoid u- using it around the. It's supposed to stay on the outside, obviously, but oh, the popping. It yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that hurts other than my throat right now. That's why I'm trying to open up about my how risky the behavior was and how I guess in a way I've been lying to my doctor. Like I, my dad, my my grandpa and my dad and my uh, grandma Rose, she was not not the biological dad, but I mean biological mom to my dad, but she was completely the sweetest woman. She had issues too. She was a lot bigger and hit by dad. It ended up they lived across from the Coliseum, and there was a tree in the backyard, and dad ended up making like a climbing kind of fort, not a tree fort, but just like some planking and I think maybe a railing. But it ended up being a really bad place for I got bit by the dog. It was a border collie. It was Sooner number 3 because he'd sooner go inside. But I that was like when I was 5, but I knew it was my fault, and he apologized to me because like I was in his face, not like hitting him or anything, but like a lot of not face scratches, but it was like during a frisbee or something, and I was playing more rough, happy, excited, I guess maybe, and yeah, just the I think maybe fighting with the frisbee or something, and he only like nipped me. It did break the flesh, but it was such a small. Oh my god, my fuck. I have so much appointments and so much to dump. I'll kind of pick through the. I'll just have to say the loneliness was bad, and I've had multiple sexual partners. I've tried to wear condoms for sex, but haven't been clinically secure enough. And during when I was doing it for money, it was fuck. They go for my face because of my beard, and even when I shave it off, it's my nose. And oh, ow, I've lied so many times about abuse I've got and abuse that I've not meant to deliver, but end up in that point and making that leap the wrong way. Uh, like the nudity in our family is definitely a huge problem, but it's been a coping thing for me just for not leaving my room and not wasting clothes and oh, and again like the itches, and it's made the like I spent this is talking about the thing people do alone when no one's watching that has become very recently popular for streaming. I've sipped, but like literally for 12, 13 hours, right? During one of my it, it 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 was around two Mickeys a day, right? Chaining day after day, maybe sometimes taking a day off or just less. Oh, the water is not good here. I wish I there's a there's too much lead in Edmonton. Like it's not even a secret, and they're not really fixing it, and it has most to do with like old places and old equipment. Uh, but I think the rusty taste is mostly the smell setting me off. I've, I've been sensitive to it for a long time. Just the obsession with water, yet I still don't want to waste dish soap or a crusty sponge. And the knives, just holding a knife is this deeply spiritual thing that's can be so evil. That that's part of chopsticks and other. Oh, holy crap! Turn on extreme battery saver. No thanks. I should have turned my brightness down a long time ago. Oh, I didn't even get to what I wanted to talk about. So after high school, I guess this would be a good time to kind of cut it off, drink water, maybe piss, but I'll turn it back on and yeah, I'll completely power down because this is heating my phone. I swear it. Uh, so yeah, I'm next is I'll jump right back on again and with that I'm gonna talk about the the spiraling pattern that happened with my mom and what what the I saw a flash, but it was probably just me like moving reflecting on the bin. it seriously hurts even to touch it at all. Uh, like literally 13 hours and like halfway, less than halfway, it's not even functioning. It's just punching myself at that point. All right, I'm gonna give it a second and I'm gonna jump back on again.